fellow Americans, this is your president, the Donald. One thing, once a colony of Great Britain. That's right, our friends across the pond. You see, I know more about U.S. history than anybody, okay? I know more than the teachers. Like, did you know it was once mandatory to grow hemp to pay your taxes? That's right, in the 1600s. It's true, so true. I know more about cannabis than anybody. No kid. Yes, that's right. I'm total. Agriculture is a matter of national importance and legalization. Legalize our nation. So now you know. So how am I going to pay for the wall? Huh? Who's going to pay for the wall? That's right, Mexico. Mary and Juan. Marijuana. Marijuana is going to pay for the wall. It's so simple, really. I have one word for you. Hempcrete, okay? Excuse me, wait your turn for the questions, okay? No, that's fake news. Fakey Fakerson. Proper Ugandan.
Take yourself on down to St. Francis Street. When the day's got you down and there's too much pain in your feet, got a lady down there, got everything you need. Take me to the CannaBama Queen. She'll turn that frown upside down. Tell that old headache to pack up and head out of town. Move over arthritis, cause you ain't what I need. Take me to the CannaBama Queen. Take me down to the CannaBama Queen. Oh, good Lord, take me down to the CannaBama Queen. She's got every style of CBD. Take me to the CannaBama Queen. Take me to see her, baby. God save the Queen.
From the guy who started the first federally trademarked cannabis Christian ministry, Salvation Anointed, comes the forgotten hemp history of an entheogen called cannabis, a plant used for spiritual purposes for thousands of years. Yet, in the last 100 years, it went from equal to silver and gold to an immigration tax called marijuana. 8 individuals share brutally honest testimonial about the sincere use of religious artifacts that built modern religion as we know it, told from the perspective of a puppet investigative journalist named REV JC. Blessed be, Tree Family, the first part of a documentary trilogy called Canna Movie.
What's up, my nugget?
Don't forget your stash.
Well, I heard Mr. Young sang about her. Said Southern man don't need him around anyhow. But Sweet Home CannaBama's got a different sound, where cannabis knowledge is spread all over town. Jennifer Boozer's on the airwaves, you know it's true. FM Top 106.5, she's got the crew talking about hemp and CBD with a rebel yell, educating folks and doing it well. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the weed grows high. Sweet Home CannaBama, beneath the southern sky. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the knowledge flows. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the good times grow. Now Citizen Green TV saw something special, yeah. Invited Sweet Home CannaBama to their sphere. Reaching vets with wellness, that's their aim. Spreading the word, easing the pain. MJ Discount's calling, they recognize the fame. Sweet Home CannaBama's gonna play the game. With presentations and connections, they'll take the stage. A new era's dawning, turn a new page. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the weed grows high. Sweet Home CannaBama, beneath the southern sky. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the knowledge flows. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the good times grow. From Mobile, Alabama, the message rings so clear. Cannabis education cast away the fear. With every broadcast, the seed they sow. Sweet Home CannaBama, help the good times grow. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the weed grows high. Sweet Home CannaBama, beneath the southern sky. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the knowledge flows. Sweet Home CannaBama, where the good times grow. Roll on, CannaBama, roll on. Spread the word, let your freedom song be known. Sweet Home CannaBama, yeah.
Genesis 1:29, I said, didn't God give us, He created all the plants, and He gave us all seed-bearing herbs for our use and for meats? And I said, what? Does He go, all of them except this one? This one? No, no, no. God didn't create this one. The devil did. But for some reason, it provides all these perfect uses for man in an ecological way that doesn't destroy the environment. Enjoy your life. You know, don't be upset. Don't hate people. You know, take some lessons from life. Be forgiving. Be joyful. Because you're not going to be here for long. Even if you live to be 120 years old like Moses, it goes like, I'm sure Moses was like, damn, I was just in Egypt like 2 weeks ago.
On either side of the river of life stood the tree of life, bearing 12 manners of fruit, yielding its fruit each month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations.
People are starting to recognize that cannabis is a dietary essential.
That heavy boot of government is still on us. The makers benefit by the silence of the masses. So we gave you the opportunity to speak out.
The reference in the anointing oil recipe, how it used cannabis was the original Hebrew, and cannabis is just like cannabis. It's a sweet-smelling cane plant, which is what marijuana is, and it makes sense that the etymology from cannabis would become cannabis in other languages.
Back a booklet from the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church by Brother Jeff Brown.
So many benefits to this plant that it's almost undeniable that it's a miracle plant given to us by God.
Anointed, 'cause our salvation, anointed, anointed, salvation, anointed. We the tree family, grown from the seed, to one community, commune with me. Oh, can't you see the confusion of the nation? We all eat, we forgot our past. But hey, praise Jah, you hear, oh, you hear at last. You're here and see. So, literally, Jesus Christ
translit our nation to really remember the origin, God's salvation. Yeshua to Joshua, that's me, REV JC. REV JC, REV JC. Messiah or Moses, like crystals, the holy anointed ones. It's not blasphemy to be anointed with me. Ooh, he who is anointed brings salvation to all the nations. Our incense rising up, up, up. May the prayers of the saints be seen. Carry me and praise by smoke. Rapture clouds calling up in joy. Anointed, salvation, salvation, salvation. Anointed, this is the anointed salvation, the patience that's gonna save the nations. Oh, blessed be tree family. Anointed, salvation, salvation, salvation. Anointed, this is the anointed salvation, syncopations that's gonna save the nations. Oh, blessed be tree family.
From the guy who started the first federally trademarked cannabis Christian ministry, Salvation Anointed, comes the forgotten hemp history of an entheogen called Cannabis, a plant used for spiritual purposes for thousands of years. Yet, in the last 100 years, it went from equal to silver and gold to an immigration tax called marijuana. 8 individuals share brutally honest testimonial about the sincere use of religious artifacts that built modern religion as we know it, told from the perspective of a puppet investigative journalist named REV JC. Blessed be Tree Family, the first part of a documentary trilogy called Canna Movie.
What's up, my nugget?
Don't forget your stash.
The order applies to new buildings as well as existing ones. The decree requires property managers to install walls, screens, or fences to obscure the view. I'm Jennifer King.
Mexico says it's investigating officials in a town where a sign was posted thanking a drug lord for holiday season gifts for children. More on these stories at townhall.com.
FM Talk 106.5, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority, and Dr. Bill Williams.
The Gulf Coast can expect partly cloudy skies tonight with fog developing after midnight. Lows will be in the mid-50s at daybreak. For Tuesday, sunny with highs in the lower 70s. And the outlook for Wednesday, sunny and cooler with afternoon readings in the lower 60s. This is meteorologist Dr. Bill Williams for FM Talk 106.5.
FM Talk 106.5, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority. It's time for Sweet Home CannaBama, a show that'll answer all your questions, provide accurate information, and dispel the myths of cannabis. And have your specific questions answered by emailing Jennifer@CannaBama.com or text or call 343-0106. And now, for all things cannabis in Alabama, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jennifer Boozer, owner and founder of CannaBama in downtown Mobile. We're located at 558 St. Francis Street. Our phone number is 251-255-5155. We are also on the interwebs at CannaBama.com and the social media sites at Sweet Home CannaBama. You can find us, Google us. I mean, you know, there's nothing else out there named CannaBama. So you dig around, you'll find us somewhere. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, all that good stuff. We're live today on the radio on the Gulf Coast in Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi Gulf Coast. So, yeah, we're going to get our last show of the year underway. Happy New Year, everybody. It seems weird that we are at the last couple of days of 2024. I'm torn between it lasted 5 minutes and good God, please, can we move on? I think a lot of people feel that way. But tonight we're going to do a giveaway to celebrate this being our last show of the year. So we want you to share the show, tag 3 people, and in the comments, use the hashtag last show. And at the end of the show, we're going to pick 3 winners to receive $100 in product from some of our best brands, our sponsors like Elevated Table, Clea, Blazy, Susan, NTRL, all of those great brands that have either been with us for the whole year or come along recently and joined us. We want to give away some prizes to say thank you to our customers. Thank you to our listeners, our supporters, our sponsors, and then, of course, my great crew. Thank you to Phil on the radio board, Isaiah on the laptop here in the studio, and Michael in Illinois, making sure that everything runs smoothly. And we have some good entertainment at the beginning of the show. So thank you to my team. It's a different team than I started the year with. And some of the positions have moved a couple times, but I am super happy with my guys and what we've been able to achieve this year. So thank you too. 2025, we're going to have more guests, bigger guests, better guests. You know, we're trying to travel around the country and meet new people. We want to bring more information, better information, newer information to you. We want to connect the people with the industry and the industry to each other. Because, you know, there's the hemp side and the weed side, and sometimes we don't always sit at the same table. And I think that should be different. So, but yeah, we're going to be doing more events. I just got invited to go to Phoenix in January. So, you know, when I go to these are the types of expos, I come back with lots of free loot. So that'll be fun. We'll do some giveaways for Mardi Gras and 420. We are planning Mardi Gras, and we're bringing back the Boom Boom Room. We've got 420 coming up. And the show is officially uploaded to TV, and we should be seeing that on your Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon subscriptions very, very soon. So we're really, really excited about 2025. So yeah, I want to say a special thank you again to our sponsors, because going to MJ Biz this year was a huge opportunity for me, and you guys helped make that possible. So to Elevated Table, NTRL, Casper's Oil, Hexadize, Honeycomb Hydro. Sorry, Michael. Everybody, higher education that helped get us there. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's all that's going on lately. Oh, so on Christmas Day, we got robbed. I think we got robbed. They didn't steal anything, just busted another huge window. So it could have been vandalism, not sure. But that was fun on Christmas Day to get to go down and hang out with the cops and clean up the sidewalk and all that good stuff, and have another brick to add to our robbery brick collection. Because this is number 5 in 6 years. So to whoever did that, could I borrow $800 for that window, please? Thank you. So tonight, my guest is my California colleague, who is the state chair for the National Industrial Hemp Coalition, like me. I want to go ahead and welcome to the show Joshua Castaneda, better known as REV JC. Rev, welcome to the show.
Hey, blessed be true family.
All right, so let's get into this. You have a resume unlike anyone I've ever seen. Your credentials have you listed as a producer, a writer, actor, director, and a healing minister. You're also a cannabis patient. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how this came to be your life's work. I know we all have an interesting story. Most of us did something before cannabis, but your work, you know, you said in the literature you sent me that your work aims to shed light on the historical and biblical significance of the plant. So just kind of tell us how you got into that.
Sure. By the way, thank you. I pray words and wisdom if it comes through, and anything good that belongs to the Lord. But as to, you know, the gift of being aware, okay?
Right.
We all start a journey. At some point, we become aware. Awareness is the change. It just so happened, you know, in the Christian walk, I discovered a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of things that I didn't necessarily understand fully. So I got a passion for the Bible.
Yeah.
While I was moving from one coast to the other, I'm from Alabama and California. So I got country fried there for high school and some college, and came back to California to finish ministry stuff.
Yeah.
So along that way, it was one of those things that I'm one of those people that has to do 24 units and kind of, overdo, burn both candles at both ends and extend myself. So I had some medical issues, TMJ, and couldn't sleep. And one of the chiropractors I was seeing actually said, "Hey, why don't you try this medical marijuana stuff?" And I was hesitant at first. And, I'm a Bible scholar is my goal. I want to be able to counsel the world with movies and all of that with biblical counseling. So in my ignorance, I had one of those fasting hit your knees moments and kind of asked for clarity. In not knowing as much as I do now about Hebrew or Greek or anything of that nature in original languages, I read the passage about cannabis in the Bible as far as the holy anointing oil, Exodus 30. Didn't necessarily know that cannabis at that time was cannabis. I just recognized cinnamon, recognized the smells as a good thing.
Right.
Kind of an affirmation in my ignorance at that time that, okay, this is something of God. It makes me feel better. It's effervescent, it smells great. And I made the mistake of asking God to use me to call his people back to him. And along that journey, you discover a lot of cannabis uses all throughout the Bible. And it's undeniable. It's part of the foundational principles of shepherding and all of the above. So my journey is a little bit different from everybody else.
Right.
I kind of put a bullseye on my back and would walk into the lion's den and point at the sheriff or the, police chief, district attorney, and, hey, I need your seized medicine to turn it, into medicine for people who need it. And I got persecuted a good bit, was on probation in Alabama for a while because of exactly the situations that go on where I believe at the time one seed was still a felony.
Wow.
So, there's some layers to this, but I'll just keep it brief and say that I've been blessed with a testimony, some experiences that let me know, as anybody who would claim that they're a reverend, what they're actually saying to you is, here's the mistakes that I've made. You can learn from those. Don't make these.
Right.
Make new mistakes.
Right.
And so with that, yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
No, I was just saying, yeah. I mean, because we're all human, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're all discovering our divinity, and you can't rush that. You can't force it. It just so happens to be part of the plan. And when you're ready to see, the scales will drop from your eyes. They're supposed to. So
right. I often tell people, I just said this yesterday in the store, I liken teaching people about the plant to preaching the gospel, because everybody has an opinion, whether they've learned it from factual information or just heard something, or they were raised with a mentality. It's the same thing. Everybody thinks they know about this big thing. And you got to go around and you've studied it and you've learned what's actually true and what's not. And you've got to really reteach a lot of people. And you want to tell them, I know you think you know, but let me tell you what I know to be true. And it'll change your life. And it's very, very similar to teaching the plant, because, everyone has a preconceived idea, thanks to the Marijuana Tax Act and propaganda and reefer madness. Everyone has an opinion, whether or not it's a scary one or a great one or just a badly misinformed one, but people rarely have the right information. And I think that's our biggest obstacle in getting people over that hump of listen to me and take in what I'm saying, because all of that preconceived mess has to be overcome. People believe what they believe, and you really gotta, and some people just aren't ever going to hear you.
I would agree with that. And I guess the fault of religious freedom.
Yes.
It's also freedom from religion.
Yes, so that's true. That's true.
What we believe.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more with REV JC. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
At CannaBama, we believe that CBD is for everyone. Our demographic is human. There's no race, age, gender, socioeconomic, education, or religious difference in our chemical and electrical systems. Let no human be excluded. We work hard to create an environment of learning. Our goal is to bring together all people in need of help while celebrating each moment of relief. Educate, advocate, unify, and celebrate. Find us at CannaBama.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
Mullins Lobbyist Firm is Alabama's frontline lobbyist team specializing in cannabis, autism, epilepsy, and small business. We fight for you in Montgomery. For information on current and future federal and state legislation, including S 4226 Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act and S 980 Industrial Hemp Act Farm Bill 2024, visit the website mullinslobbyistfirm.com and follow us on social media. Is there a cause or issue you want to see changed or would like to get support for? Let us help you. Email al4medicalcannabisfreedom@gmail.com.
Native Black Cultivation is a true pioneer in Alabama's cannabis industry. As the first medical cannabis company to harvest in the state, they're committed to producing quality, sustainable cannabis. Native Black Cultivation blends integrity, innovation, and inclusivity to ensure every product from the farm meets the highest standard of quality and safety. Their mission extends beyond cultivation, focusing on social and economic change through education and community engagement. Visit nativeblackcultivation.com to learn more.
Hey, Alabama football fans. Are you headed up to T-Town this fall for the game? If you forget to come by CannaBama first, you can shop at Tuscaloosa's first hemp dispensary, Freedom CBD and Wellness on 15th Street, just a mile up from campus. They have the largest selection of products in West Alabama and are ready to hemp you out with all your tailgate needs. Follow Freedom CBD and Wellness on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Roll Tide.
Welcome back to Sweet Home CannaBama. Now with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking with REV JC tonight about the history of cannabis. Rev, you mentioned right before the break religious freedom. And I want you to repeat what you said, but my question is, why is freedom of religion so important?
Oh, that's a great question. And I appreciate you asking it. If you look at it from the point of view of religious freedom, we came under persecution. This country was founded under persecution. People were leaving under the Alhambra Decree of 1492, which meant if you didn't want to convert to Catholicism, you had to either, kiss the ring to Catholicism or leave. And so everybody hears about Christopher Columbus and those kind of things, but when we were coming here as immigrants, we were coming with the idea that when we received the land underneath our feet, that was a place where we could bury our loved ones. That was a place where we could do our own religious practices. And so religious freedom is identification. It's clerkship, keeping records of birth, death, marriages, those kind of things. And specifically, when you look at religious freedom, it's a land rights claim. To internment or burial rights, which is something that's been forgotten. Okay. When we were here, this is all part of the original structure of you wanted to have a place where you could grow a family heritage garden, where this would be a place where your relatives could come and take the incense that you planted and remember them, literally right. from that process that we're naturally designed to follow.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why I would say freedom of religion is important, is because identifying that the reason why we have a country that we do today and the freedoms that we do is because when we came here, it was to establish that we have these boundaries where we're allowed to be ourselves and we're allowed to practice, or freedom from practice of religion.
Right.
So it's vital to first understanding that, to establishing your rights.
Right.
So hopefully I answered the question. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, like what you said, the freedom from religion is equally as important.
Correct.
Because we don't want anybody telling us we all have to prescribe to the same beliefs. That's the whole point of America, right?
You would think, right?
Well, I mean, I think that was the original intention. I mean, now they tell us what to think, but I think the original idea was that we're free to think and feel and believe what we want, as long as we're not harming anyone else.
Well, I would say that if you're going to look at it from the Inquisition, we were under the Inquisition all into the 1800s.
Right.
So there's 200 years that we have an oppressive oligarchical state that's telling you, hey, if you're a woman and you grow this medicine, we can come take your land and consider you a witch now.
And burn you.
So,
yeah. Yeah. Or whatever.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and too, like, you know, maybe my religion is different than yours, and that's okay. You know,
Correct.
and there are people that you know, it's the forcing it on other people and all that good stuff, you know, that anybody has a problem with. And again, I mean, I do believe that was the whole point of America, was to come over here and be able to do what we want as long as we're not hurting anyone else.
So let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the Tudor dynasty?
Mm-hmm.
So the Tudor dynasty, there's an acronym from Francis Bacon, if you ever want to look this up.
Okay.
It's a phrase that it's spoken of. Henry, Edward, Mary, Philip, Elizabeth, which is where we get the branding for the plant, hempy.
Really?
And so it was a mandatory grow law when we first came here. You had to grow out of 5 acres. One of those would be used for taxes, 20%.
Wow.
So the first laws in this country were mandatory. Use this plant with the name we gave you, not canna, which is in Hebrew where we get it originally and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to call it our brand of the Tudors, the royalty, and the Spanish monarchy, hempy. And so you have to grow this. Hemp is that acronym. And if you look at Francis Bacon's statement, he says, when hemp is spun, England is done. So that's how we were founded as a country, is we brought people over here from the orphanages, the Irish, the women who were making textiles and fabrics.
Mm-hmm.
They were brought here for specifically the hemp industry originally.
Really?
So
you're telling me stuff I have read until I am blue in the face. I have heard, I have seen. I have never heard that. You just taught me something completely new, and I thank you, sir. And I hope my listeners are happy right now, because where in the world? I've never seen that. Never. That's crazy.
Well, the truth is always hidden in plain sight. You know?
Well, probably so.
Let's do another fun one. You know the word Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christian means Christ-like. Well, the original word for Christ, Christos, would have been Messiah or the Anointed One.
Mm-hmm.
And the reference to the anointing comes from the people coming together, doing the first census, giving their first fruits to make a holy anointing oil.
Mm-hmm.
This holy anointing oil was used by Moses, who had a variation of leprosy. He coated his whole self so he wouldn't transmit that to any of the people, but he'd also cover the tabernacle. And it says that anything that touched it would become holy. So the word we get, holy, is set apart, or kadash, which means we're going to take something, we're going to set it apart as sacred. Then we're going to use alcohol to distill it down into the art of the perfumer or distiller to make it into something holy. And then we're going to dedicate it to the use of the Creator, which is where we get the words most holy. So the very definition of holiness comes from communal use of the sacramental or the purposes of canna.
Wow.
So it's just interesting.
Michael said this was going to be a great show, but I'm just like, I'm getting emotional right now. Like, I'm just.
You guys have been waiting for yourselves.
Michael has been telling me, wait till he comes on the show. Wait till he comes on the show. Woo. Okay. So my next question. I'm getting emotional. Wow. Okay. What is salvation anointed?
Oh, well, we just hinted on it just a little bit.
Okay, good.
So when we say in English, we're using words that were transliterated, that were used. Like the word for work meant gold in Amharic, or in the original African text.
Okay.
So when we look at words that were transliterated, we're coming from Hebrew to Greek to English, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just use Jesus goes back to Yeshua, goes back to Joshua in Greek,
mm-hmm.
but it was used as a phrase in English that would mean God's salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the word Christ would be a reference to Messiah, the
mm-hmm.
anointed one, or Mosakai, and that was the anointed. So God's salvation of the holy anointed would be the literal modern translation of what Jesus Christ meant when they were speaking it.
Wow.
So salvation anointed is kind of that thing where I had to raise the flag and be like, hey guys, it's really right here in front of us in plainly all through the Bible. Every time they see a reference to that, he's using it for all the miracles. Matter of fact, there's a woman who's suffering from female problems for 12 years. She fights through the crowd, reaches and grabs his robe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it says in Exodus, anything that touches it became holy. So it absorbed into her fingers at that moment, and she was miraculously healed.
Yes, the woman with the issue of blood. I love that story.
Well, keep in mind that she was ostracized for her community from 12 years, because anytime you were bleeding as a woman, you were considered unclean and not allowed to enter.
Right.
So she fought through these people as an unclean person to touch the robes of Christ, which was an anointed ceremony, if you think about it. And now she's got this into her system, and she's able to heal herself. So these are all through the scriptures. There's lots of references to the miraculous uses. I mean, we know glaucoma is treated with canna, right?
Right.
And it takes the optic nerve pressure and relieves it.
Yep.
So when there's a passage where he takes dirt, spits on it, rubs it into a guy's eye, could it be that that very dirt was hashish?
Right.
Considering this is a practice that was used.
Wow. Yeah.
I think there's somebody there that might really appreciate the Isaiah reference.
Yeah.
In chapter 6, he says, I'm really, really not in a place to speak before the nations. You know, I'm a man of unclean lips. So what he says is, you know, to the angel, the seraphim, who reaches down and grabs a coal from the altar and touches his lips.
Yep.
Holy, holy, holy.
Yeah.
Right after that, he speaks before the nations. So the ministry of Isaiah started from being purified with a holy kiss from the altar of the hashish coal.
Wow.
Anyway, continue.
Wow. Okay. I feel so, wow. I don't know. Like, I don't think I've ever been flabbergasted on my show before, y'all. This is, thank God I make notes, because this is insane. These are Bible stories I've known all my life. And you're telling me a slightly different version of them, but that makes sense.
Well, we speak.
What you're saying and what I know about the plant makes total sense. I always think of the story of Mary and Martha and washing Jesus's feet with the oil and drying it with her hair. I'm like, you know, that had to be hemp oil. Had to be. His feet were cut up. They were raw. I know how my feet felt after MJ BizCon. You know, I mean, cut up and raw, and I blew out a whole pair of hokas. So I always just immediately have this vision of her pouring this oil on Jesus's tired, cut up, dirty feet, and that immediate relief that I get when I put oil on my feet or on my neck or on my back, whatever, you know, or a cut on my hand, and how much immediate relief and the antibacterial properties that heal it. I'm like, man, that had to have been part of that story. It had to have been.
Yes. We'll get to the recipe for the holy anointing oil, which has an antibacterial, antifungal.
When we come back, more about anointing oil with REV JC.
FM Talk 106.5, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority, and Dr. Bill Williams.
The Gulf Coast can expect partly cloudy skies tonight with fog developing after midnight. Lows will be in the mid-50s at daybreak. For Tuesday, sunny with highs in the lower 70s. And the outlook for Wednesday, sunny and cooler with afternoon readings in the lower 60s. This is meteorologist Dr. Bill Williams for FM Talk 106.5.
FM Talk 106.5, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority.
I'm Roseanne Haven from WKRG News 5. 2 deadly shootings during New Year's Eve celebrations in downtown Mobile the past 2 years have some people making plans to ring in 2025 somewhere else. But police say they have plans to break the violent cycle. Mobile police spokesperson Blake Brown says not only will uniformed officers be present, more undercover officers will be there. Brown says different surveillance will also be used this year. Mobile Mobile police are still looking for the person who threw 2 puppies from the Dog River Bridge over the weekend. Witnesses say the driver of a black SUV stopped on the bridge, turned on hazard lights, and threw the dogs in the river. The puppies survived and have been moved to a foster home. When identified, the suspect will face animal cruelty charges. I'm Roseanne Haven from WKRG News 5. Local coverage you can count on.
Mullins Lobbyist Firm is Alabama's frontline lobbyist team specializing in cannabis, autism, epilepsy, and small business. We fight for you in Montgomery. For information on current and future federal and state legislation, including S 4226 Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act and S 980 Industrial Hemp Act Farm Bill 2024, visit the website mullinslobbyistfirm.com and follow us on social media. Is there a cause or issue you want to see changed or would like to get support for? Let us help you. Email al4medicalcannabisfreedom@gmail.com.
Native Black Cultivation is a true pioneer in Alabama's cannabis industry. As the first medical cannabis company to harvest in the state, they're committed to producing quality, sustainable cannabis. Native Black Cultivation blends integrity, innovation, and inclusivity to ensure every product from the farm meets the highest standard of quality and safety. Their mission extends beyond cultivation, focusing on social and economic change through education and community engagement. Visit nativeblackcultivation.com to learn more.
Hey, Alabama football fans. Are you headed up to T-Town this fall for the game? If you forget to come by CannaBama first, you can shop at Tuscaloosa's first hemp dispensary, Freedom CBD and Wellness on 15th Street, just a mile up from campus. They have the largest selection of products in West Alabama and are ready to hemp you out with all your tailgate needs. Follow Freedom CBD and Wellness on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Roll Tide.
At CannaBama, we believe that CBD is for everyone. Our demographic is human. There's no race, age, gender, socioeconomic, education, or religious difference in our chemical and electrical systems. Let no human be excluded. We work hard to create an environment of learning. Our goal is to bring together all people in need of help while celebrating each moment of relief. Educate, advocate, unify, and celebrate. Find us at CannaBama.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sweet Home CannaBama. Now with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Sweet Home CannaBama every Monday night here at 7 o'clock. We are on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube Live. We're on the radio live. We also have we become an audio podcast that's on all the major streaming services. And we just uploaded our first 4 episodes to Citizen Green TV on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon. I'm going to get it out eventually, y'all. So, Rev, let's discuss the agricultural origins of ancient spiritual practices when it comes to cannabis. What does that even mean? Ancient spiritual practices and cannabis. This is going to get more interesting.
Sure. So I'm understanding correctly. If everybody comments, the hashtag last show, and then they share this to 3 other people or something like that, there's a giveaway too, right?
Yes, you share the show, tag 3 people, and use the hashtag last show. We're going to draw at the end of the show for 3 $100 product prizes. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. As far as agricultural origins, we are nomadic people. We used to travel this globe, traverse it. I personally have a belief that there was a hydrosphere. There was a layer of firmament of water that circled the entire globe, that the majority of that came down with the flood. That would have explained the hyperbaric nature of why lizards could get to the size of dinosaurs that still have the nasal capacity of a hyper-oxygenated system. So we're a nomadic people that traverse the whole globe. So when somebody would pass away, they would end up burying their loved ones there. They would obviously plant canna. It would then bring incense. It would bring food. This was a nutritional, spiritual, agricultural system.
Right.
It became a spiritual path when some of those practices would have to be done from a city. We went from nomads and shepherds to being inside of city walls. They would build mausoleums with the ashes of their loved ones turned into concrete or cannacrete, which is kind of what the Wailing Wall still signifies.
Okay.
That original temple was those loved ones' ashes mixed with canna, mixed with limes or seashells that would turn into bricks and such.
Okay.
That as a foundation of being the last heritage from the Canaanites or those deities from way back when, comes all the way through into the Jewish culture today. We had not just a monotheistic system, but there was a polytheistic. There was Asherah, the queen of heaven. They would raise what we would call the bronze serpent in reference to the scriptures. It was a way where they would light incense. And you know how in those little waterfalls it comes down to the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
So the smoke would, they would do that with the incense coals, and everybody would go and basically, prostrate and inhale at the bottom of the tail of that bronze serpent would be the hashish, that smell. That would be a system where they would carry the prayers of the saints with the smoke, because when we inhale it, we exhale it. So in the rebukes of Jesus to his disciples when they couldn't heal the epileptic child, and this is in a passage in Luke, he says, you haven't fasting and you haven't done prayer. Well, prayer is a requirement towards taking the incense. It says that the prayers of the saints are carried with the smoke. So that would have been lighting incense, breathing it, inhaling it, and speaking over that individual. Then also fasting required a consecration, which would have been the holy anointing oil put on the outside. This was like a commonplace sunscreen. This is a good SPF, but it was also a way to make sure antibacterial, antifungal, kept the parasites that were in people's hair, kept all of that stuff off of you. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of purification rituals that would happen. So a lot of this comes from survival-oriented practices, like the sunscreen and making sure that their animals would be taken care of.
Right.
So that's part of that. When Jesus was born, we hear about him in the manger, but we don't really hear about the syphilis epidemic that was going on.
Oh, wow.
We don't get the perspective that community was being plagued with what we would consider leprosy. That's syphilis at that time.
Right.
So oil
and the frankincense and myrrh makes a whole lot more sense now, though, with what I know about essential oils and my sister-in-law teaching me to put frankincense on the dog bite that I got a couple weeks ago, how healing and antiseptic it is and things like that. Mm-hmm. So the frankincense and gold and myrrh, the frankincense at least part, I know to be true.
Yes, ma'am. Very much so. So thank you again for asking wonderful questions. I hope somebody out there benefits from this.
Yeah, well, I mean, with all the information that I got on you, I think I struggled the most with this one because it's such a vast subject, and I'm thinking, how do I break this down for my audience? And I'm trying to ask these. Okay. These are my genuine questions. These Wonderful. Are most of the time I know the answer already, because it's on my topic. But this is a part of this that I don't know the answer. So these are my genuine, from the heart questions. So
thank you for that.
Well, so how have those practices influenced contemporary religion? Because we still anoint people with oil. We still do some of these, a modern version of these things. We still take communion and we do all sorts of stuff. So how has that influenced modern religion?
Greatly. So much so to where that this was in a common place. Everyone at that time, when you would say somebody was consecrating the fast, or anybody would be in the mindset of fasting, they would be doing a dedication, covering themselves with oil, protecting themselves in that. Right. But also it would be, we think about this now because we have the medical side, but what happens when we fast to that stored THC, or OOH that's on your liver? Right. The most psychedelic, the most therapeutic, pain relieving side of it, it's absorbed into your body again. So those fats break down off your liver. If you think about these practices, this was foundational, and it's actually a rebuke again that if they can't cast out demons, they're not fasting, because you have to have a prerequisite of fasting in order to purge your system to do those things, which is also required that you consecrate the fast. So the word holy, those kind of things are all kind of interconnected now.
Well, and I've done a lot of studying about fasting because it's a fascinating topic to me. And outside of the religious realm, health-wise, fasting is incredibly good for your body, because after a certain amount of time, it starts to get rid of all the crap that your body holds on to that keeps you sick. And I've read, I've seen doctors say that, if you do this type of fasting a certain amount of times a year, per quarter, or every few months, you'll get sick maybe once every 7 years, because
Correct.
your immune system is so clean and so strong, and your body is so balanced, which is what we know cannabis brings to the body, is that homeostasis that is required for the body to do what it was created to do, which is heal itself.
Yes, ma'am. I would take it just a little nudge further.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever looked from a microscope, at the time they didn't have microscopes to look at, some of these viruses, bacteria, and other things, parasites.
Right.
They're very grotesque, and it would make sense that this would be a demonic presence.
Absolutely agree with you.
So I think there's some attributes that are directly connected with the use of fasting and the anointing well. And the inhalation therapy, again, prayer, you're in an enclosed room, breathing in the Holy of Holies. You're constantly recycling that incense that's been put on the coals there are coated with that same holy anointing oil, hash oil.
Right.
So the entire tabernacle is filled with that. So the sessions of prayer are directly connected. And it says all the way through even to Revelation, the prayers of the saints are lifted with the smoke. Now, we don't think of that today. We just think of prayer. We just think of the prana, the breath, the words. But what it actually is the intention. And the intention of the indwelling, as far as what we're bringing to other people, that's where the medicine truly is.
Right.
So what I would say is the practices of your saliva, your ketosis, when you're in fasting, your urine is the fertilizer for this plant.
Right.
And it becomes your symbiote directly in this religious habitual behavior, to where that you're directly connected with the divine, because that's your symbiote. And anybody who doesn't understand that needs to get back their endocannabinoid system, because they're not using it.
Well, I definitely use mine religiously every day. I will fight somebody in the street if they tried to stop me. So I definitely think that the word religiously, meaning habitually, every single day without fail, just like we should be praying without fail, prayer without ceasing, that kind of thing. It just becomes part of who you are, and it is religious.
Well, let's take it one commonplace, so somebody doesn't smoke at all.
Right.
Right. I've had this discussion several times. Do you go on a run and you get a runner's high?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You get a tattoo and you have that rush of all of this. Well, the Jews would use the Tesla and wrap their arms in exhaustion prayer, to where that they would have this release of the endocannabinoids that our body naturally makes, which is called anandamide. And that anandamide receptor is the bliss molecule that directly connects us.
Right. That's what creates the runner's high in the brain. That is an endocannabinoid, meaning made within the body. And when we have depleted those endocannabinoids, we replace them with phytocannabinoids, which is from the plant.
Yes, ma'am. So technically, when somebody is doing the prayers that they're supposed to at the point of exhaustion, they're having an endocannabinoid experience.
Wow.
That is that relief that happens. So in summation, that's what I would say. It still goes on today.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense too. Golly, man, you're so cool.
It's just a reflection. Any good you see is because you see it in yourself, and I'm just holding the mirror. So
well, thank you. No, I'm fascinated, and I can't wait I can't see the screen, but I can't wait to read some of the comments. I'm sure they will be interesting. And just this whole thing, it makes total sense though. Everything you're saying is just like click, click, click in my brain. From what I know and my personal experience and what I've studied, I mean, this is just, it's really cool. I wasn't prepared for this, actually. Even though I read the information, I wasn't prepared for you, man. And I'm sorry.
You've been prepared your whole life. Blessed be Tree family. I think we're coming up on a break too.
Yes, we are. We're coming up on a break. And in the next segment, I do want to mention your work with film, because I think that is an interesting medium to choose in order to kind of reach the masses. And here we are on radio and TV, and I'm saying that, but you've been at this a lot longer than me. So when we come back from the break, I want to talk about your film experience, history, production, acting, writing, all that good stuff. So stay with us. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Need Native Black Cultivation is a true pioneer in Alabama's cannabis industry. As the first medical cannabis company to harvest in the state, they're committed to producing quality, sustainable cannabis. Native Black Cultivation blends integrity, innovation, and inclusivity to ensure every product from the farm meets the highest standard of quality and safety. Their mission extends beyond cultivation, focusing on social and economic change through education and community engagement. Visit nativeblackcultivation.com to learn more.
Hey, Alabama football fans. Are you headed up to T-Town this fall for the game? If you forget to come by CannaBama first, you can shop at Tuscaloosa's first hemp dispensary, Freedom CBD and Wellness on 15th Street, just a mile up from campus. They have the largest selection of products in West Alabama and are ready to hemp you out with all your tailgate needs. Follow Freedom CBD and Wellness on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Roll Tide.
At CannaBama, we believe that CBD is for everyone. Our demographic is human. There's no race, age, gender, socioeconomic, education, or religious difference in our chemical and electrical systems. Let no human be excluded. We work hard to create an environment of learning. Our goal is to bring together all people in need of help while celebrating each moment of relief. Educate, advocate, unify, and celebrate. Find us at CannaBama.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
Mullins Lobbyist Firm is Alabama's frontline lobbyist team specializing in cannabis, autism, epilepsy, and small business. We fight for you in Montgomery. For information on current and future federal and state legislation, including S 4226 Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act and S 980 Industrial Hemp Act Farm Bill 2024, visit the website mullinslobbyistfirm.com and follow us on social media. Is there a cause or issue you want to see changed or would like to get support for? Let us help you. Email al4medicalcannabisfreedom@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Sweet Home CannaBama. Now, with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
I don't care. Welcome back, everybody. Yep. I wasn't paying attention, y'all. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're talking with REV JC tonight about the history of cannabis and the biblical history of cannabis. Rev, why film? That was my question. Just 2 words. Why film? Why? Because film seems like a whole lot of work. I mean, radio's not that hard, I guess. But, but film seems like a huge thing to take on. Why?
There's a true desire. There's a true need. Having the experience of complete strangers in a darkened sanctuary where they're getting empathy and experiencing someone else's thoughts and emotions. And it's the best way I have found to counsel masses of people and educate them. So it's a personal gift that I was given to be able to close my eyes and see the movie and type and screenwrite.
Right.
And then along the journey, I did the acting thing to learn how to properly behave and control myself and understand why the people around me were doing the things they were.
Right.
Basically shepherding empathy. And then the writing part of it was necessary in order to bring those visions that are there to be shared.
Right.
And then from that, the natural progression is, okay, I want to do websites. I want to do media. I want to do all of these things. But when you ask for how to reach the masses, it's answered, and it's not maybe answered in the way that you intended or expected. Like I wouldn't have known when I wanted to do film that I would end up making films entirely now. And we have the collective conscious of AI. We have these other tools that allows us to do these things to where that, what would take me years and hundreds of thousands of dollars when I was in film school, now I can do in a couple of days.
Right.
So, and with little to no budget. So there's some advancements that have happened there that I would say it's a necessary part of sharing any truth. My personal passion was I wanted to be able to counsel people with my testimony and experiences. That's kind of where the acronym REV JC and all these kind of things come from, is so that it's a presence and it's a persona, so that I can judge myself in parody. I can judge myself in that layer.
Right.
And so I'm hypercritical of myself more than anybody else. And that's kind of what that vehicle forces me to work through.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, I think that's probably true for most of us, except the delusional. That's a saying for a reason. My own worst critic. I know that's definitely true for me. Tell me a little bit about the puppets. We saw the puppets at the beginning of the show. What's up with the puppets, bro?
So when the pandemic hit, I was dealing with crews not being able to show. We had people who were, sick and not being able to do it. So what ended up happening is I was able to meet up with some puppeteers and some people across the country, and I started creating my own character list roster, and basically having people puppets commissioned off of drawings and things that I was looking forward to using.
Yeah.
And basically it's a cast. I can do the voices and sync a lot of stuff. We have the animatronics. We have the digital camera to where that they're on the same robot, and they can do the same camera paths so that you can have multiple puppets done with the animatronic devices that you speak into and their mouth move. We have the digital puppetry. It's a fun part when you realize that you can tell the truth in jest or in parody and the fair use of judging and being fun.
Yep.
And I can still share the truth in such a way to where that people would go, wait a minute, that was funny, but why was it funny? Because there's a kernel of truth in there that you really needed to get.
I kind of want to be a puppet now. I kind of want my own puppet. I kind of would pay for that. How much? Just pick a number. I kind of need it now.
I've got plenty of puppets. We'll figure one out for you.
I have some ideas on the design. Mine would need wigs to interchange the bright colors of hair, but we'll talk about that off the air. I need a puppet, bro. Get me a puppet.
We'll see what we can do.
I'll find a way to make it up to you. Well, where can we find more information about what you're doing? I know that I can think of a bunch of people that are probably going, okay, I need to know more about this. Where can people find you and more information about your films, follow you, that kind of thing?
Well, I appreciate the plug there. What I would say is if you look up REV JC or CannaMovie or Salvation Anointed, those three buzzwords will pretty much unlock whatever it is you're looking for.
And that's KANEH, Canna movie.
The Hebrew word. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
CannaMovie. I'm also shepherding Canna. Canna.com and all that will be up and optimized. So we'll talk about all the biotechnology research and the other stuff. We have several things that are coming down the way. Wrote a federal protocol, 68 pages, that'll go through doing sublingual cannabinoid treatments for multiple ailments, and all of those federal guidelines that we had to navigate through. So there's a lot of stuff that I've been very hesitant to make public because it's directly related to caregiver and patients.
Right.
But as to the public side, I would say REV JC, CannaMovie, and Salvation Anointed. If you want to dig deep, you can always reach out at any of those buzzwords you can find on YouTube. You can find them all over. But as far as social media goes, REV JC, you can find me. The REV JC if it's not REV JC.
And you can always reach out to us at CannaBama and Sweet Home CannaBama. Anytime you want to reach out, get more information about any of our guests, ask for their help, expertise. You want to know more about what they're doing, their products, anything really, reach out to us. We can always put you in touch with them. Make sure to preserve everyone's privacy, of course. But anytime you want to get in touch with, learn more from one of our guests, we have a great relationship with all of our past guests. And we want to make sure, again, the point of the show is to be a bridge between the plant people and the people. And that's all of us. So, I love that the endocannabinoid system means almost the same. Well, it means the same thing to me as love thy neighbor, because that's everyone. We all have an endocannabinoid system, and everyone on the planet still has breath in their body. He's our neighbor. So what better industry to be in and doing what I consider to be my kingdom work, and I share that passion that you have. Obviously, you've done your homework, you've experienced these things for yourself, and you've studied them, and it's an important message for you to be able to get out. And I just want to say thank you for being with us tonight and for sharing that tonight. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
There's a phrase that I would hope that you take to heart, which is, the past tense word means blessed, right? Blessed be tree family. And that means that we're already in the present moment together, and we're thankful for what's already happened. But we're all family. We all have an endocannabinoid system. We all have a direct connection to the earth through this plant. And so I consider everyone tree family. As soon as they find that, then we find each other.
That's right. And what better way to love your neighbor than to offer them the nutrition, the shelter, the clothing, the medicine that comes from this plant. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to share between us. You know, I think it's I don't know. I love the plant and I love people, and it's a perfect thing for me because it brings those two things together so well. And we're literally have chemically identical makeup with this plant, and God gave us the ability to use it and for our bodies to make those same chemicals. And I think it's just an incredible thing.
Wonderful, Miss Boozer, Miss Jen. I appreciate your time. May the words that you shared today be able to impact somebody for the better. May an unexpected blessing come your way as well. Thank you to everybody for allowing me the honor and privilege of speaking with you. Let me know if I can help out in the future if there's anything. But
thank you so much. And speaking of blessings, we want to bless 3 people with $100 in products from CannaBama. And those 3 people are Real Metamines, Skyboxy NFT, and Kimberly Miller. So email me, Jennifer@CannaBama.com, and I will get you your prize, whether we got to ship it or you need to pick it up in store. We'll get you your prizes. I want to say thank you again to REV JC. And as we close out another amazing year as America's only live radio podcast live stream TV show about cannabis anyway, we want to say thank you. And I'd love to give 2025 a run for its money and leave these crappy years in the past. God has so much in store for us, for me personally, a lot of great, exciting things happening in my personal life, my professional life. We've got so much planned for the business, and we're going to fight like hell to keep the state out of our business, starting soon in January for the legislative session. So I just want to say, God bless you all. God bless CannaBama. Happy New Year and good night. And you guys email me, Jennifer@CannaBama.com, to pick up your prizes. That is, again, Real Metamines, Skyboxy NFT, and Kimberly Miller. Thank you so much, guys. It is an honor and a privilege every week to sit here and be able to teach you guys and to talk to you about what's going on. And so great. We'll see you in 2025. Have a good night.